In today's video, I am going to be reading books that are accomplishing my book goals. Check off that I finished a series. Wait! I was just like driving and like my jaw dropped. Hey guys, it's Emma. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I am going to be reading books that are accomplishing my book goals that I set in the beginning of the year. So basically what this means is at the beginning of the year, I set goals for, general goals throughout the year, but I also set book goals for myself. And I'm going to read you guys what some of those book goals are so that we can decide what books, will correlate to that. So the first book goal was to read 50 books. That I've actually already accomplished. Don't have to worry about meeting a book goal. But the next one is reduce physical TBR to 10. So far, I think I either have like 24 or 23 books on my physical TBR. So that, I don't know if that's going to be completed, but because that is one of my goals, all the books we're going to be reading in today's video are books on my physical TBR. We're not going to read anything on my Kindle, and we're not going to go out and buy a book. So everything is what I already have on my shelf. And then one of the next goals is to finish 10 series. So if you guys don't know, I read a lot of books that are either the beginning of a series or in the middle of a series, and I tend to take long breaks in between reading them, and I need to stop doing that. I need to start focusing on the books that are in a series that I still have not finished. So one of the books we're going to be reading is a book that is in a series. For this one, we have two options. We actually have a lot of options for this one. Scythe and Sparrow. This is the last book actually in the Ruinous Love trilogy. This series has kind of been in the middle series to me. It's nothing amazing and it's nothing terrible. They're interesting to read about. They're dark romances, not really my thing. I've enjoyed the last two, so I'm excited to see what this one's about. I think it's about like a girl who is like in a circus and she rides like the motorcycle, and the guy, I don't really know. Oh, he's a doctor. This one I've been really excited about for this brother. I've heard this one was good. And then the other one is Wildcard by Elsie Silver. This is also the last book in a series, obviously. This one is ex-boyfriend's dad trope. So the female main character gets with her ex-boyfriend's dad. I've never read anything like that. I know other people have and they love tropes like that. I have never, but I've heard that it was actually really good. And even though it was a weird trope, that the romance was still really good. So I'm interested to see what this one's about. So we have these two options, and we'll decide later on in this video which one of these we will choose, because I don't think that is what I'm going to read first, because I think I already have an idea of what I'm going to read first. We have read 5 fantasy books. This one, I have a lot of options on my shelf. This one is hard because usually a fantasy series, you have to start from scratch. It's a little bit hard for me because I have a goal that says to finish 10 series, but then if I start a fantasy book, then I'm also starting a new one. So this is a little bit hard, but I have lots of options. So the first one is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. This one, obviously, if you hadn't heard about this, you're probably living under a rock. This one has gotten such good reviews. It's actually a young adult book, which makes me want to read it even more, because since I'm not a heavy fantasy reader, it sounds like a good book to start off getting into fantasy before I read all the other fantasy books that I do want to. So this one I've heard is really good. Obviously, A Court of Thorns and Roses is another very popular one, but this one I've heard is simple, but maybe I should read other fantasy books before I read this. This is also like a 5-book series. This one's a 3-book series with like small novellas in between. This one is 5 books, and there's still books coming out. The last book is probably 3 times the thickness of this one, so kind of draws me away from this one. The next one is The Ballad of Never After. This one I actually read Once Upon a Broken Heart already last year, and I've completely forgotten what that one is about. So I actually told myself that before I get back into the series, I want to reread or re-listen, maybe an audiobook, to Once Upon a Broken Heart, so I remember what it's about and remember what happens in that book before I continue with the next two. So this one probably isn't going to happen. These two, which would probably make the most sense to read, is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. This one, it's 1 book and it's a fantasy book. This one is more magical instead of high stakes. It's about a girl who like basically makes a deal with the devil to stay young forever, but every day that she lives, people don't remember her face, don't remember who she is, until she makes like this one person who does remember her. I've heard this book is very romantic and poetic, just literally my type of book. I don't know why I've always been scared to read this one. So this one could also be high on my radar. And then the last one is Silver Elite. This one had a lot of different genres when I searched it up. It had dystopian, fantasy, and a whole bunch of other ones. So I don't really know if this is a fantasy book. Of course, got very popular and I've heard great things about, so I've been curious about this one. Also, this is a series too. This is just the only book that's come out so far, so also a good idea to read this one before, you know, the next books come out. But those are all my options for fantasy. Also, we're gonna pick from those later on because that's not what we're gonna start with. The next one isn't really a goal that was put on the reading goals list. It's just a goal that I set for myself every year when I make the list of my 25 books to read in 2025. Obviously, I write down 25 books that I want to read throughout the year, and I think I've only read half of them, so I would like to get at least one more off of the list because I haven't been doing too good with that. And I think the only two that I have that are on that list, or I have a few actually. I have A Million Kisses in Your Lifetime. This one I read in my most recent reading vlog, I think, and it was reading the highest and lowest rated books on my TBR, and things I wanted to say was the lowest rated on my physical TBR. I guess it would be good to read this one right after I read that, but the only reason I'm not going to is because I did read that in a reading vlog and I don't want to read kind of the same book again for this one. So this one, that's the only reason it's not on my radar. But the other two books are Twisted Lies and As Good as Dead, which what's good about these is that they're also the last book in a series. So I'll be checking off 2 book goals reading one of these. Twisted Lies is the last book in the Twisted series. This one is about Christian, which is like this famous man. I don't really know what he does. Stella, also don't know what she does. She has 2 jobs and doesn't really want a relationship, but I think they make like a deal or something. These books, I kind of fell out of love for them. They weren't really my style anymore, but I've had this on my shelf for the longest time and I've, you know, not really wanted to read it. But the last books I've been reading have been dark romances, and I feel like this being, I don't know if it's considered dark romance, just usually these books are a little bit more toxic and spicy, and that's why I see it correlated to those. So I think reading this is perfect for right now because I'm in the mood for it. And As Good as Dead, this is a mystery book where she kind of just solves a bunch of mysteries in her town. I think the person is coming after her now, so she's not solving a mystery. I think she's trying to figure out who's coming after her. So that's what makes this interesting, but I don't think I'm gonna pick this one. So I think the first book we're reading in this video is Twisted Lies. I'm a little bit scared, obviously, because I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it. I'm only kind of reading this book to get it off of my physical TBR, and so I don't have to worry about reading it anymore. I don't know, maybe I will enjoy it. I have heard people say that this one is their favorite in the whole series. This one or the last book. Maybe I will enjoy it. Who knows? So let's get into the first book we're reading for this video. So I'm here to update you guys on the book that I'm reading, which is obviously Twisted Lies. I'm currently a little over 50% through this book. I think I'm like 55%. I've been listening mostly on audiobook just because I already was going into this book knowing that I wasn't going to love it. Like, not that I was going into it hate reading it. The only reason why I'm really reading this book is because I've read all the other books in this series. It's on my shelf. Like, if I read the books that were before this and I didn't have them physically, I wouldn't care to read this, but I have all 4 books and this was the only one that I had left, so that is why I'm reading it. And these books aren't terrible, they're just not my type of book. So yeah, as expected, I'm not enjoying it from the start. I was very confused, and that wasn't expected because I knew I was gonna go into this knowing that it was a spicy book, kind of like cringe, Wattpad-y. In the start of this book, it kind of just jumps into a storyline that I feel like we didn't really get told, or I don't know if I wasn't paying attention when I was reading, but I really don't think that was the case. It kind of just jumped in, like literally on page 3 is when the characters are interacting. Maybe it's from the last book this happened and I didn't remember, but these characters have already met before. They've already had some sort of deal where she's like, oh, like he lowered my rent. I was like, wait, did I miss this in this book or was it in the last book and I don't remember that? Which that is probably the case. But going into this book, I was just so lost and confused. So that's kind of been like throwing me off the rest of the book. But obviously you catch on once they're talking about it. So I was able to continue reading. I feel like it's trying very hard to be a slow burn. He is obsessed with her randomly. Like, he's been obsessed with her since the start of this book. And I feel like I don't really feel it from his side. And he's like this very like mute, monotone, not mute, but he's like a very monotone character, very serious demeanor. He's like obsessed with this girl, Stella. She's like his weakness. So it's very confusing to be like, where did this obsession come from? And who knows, maybe we'll get that in the rest of the book, because in these books, there's always like some sort of like subplot going on. And in this one, Stella has a stalker. Also, another thing going on is she gets like fired from her job. I think this is all in the back of the book, but she gets fired from her job, gets a new job. She basically gets fired from her job, and to get more followers and to get like more attention, she thinks, or her best friend tells her that it's best to get a boyfriend and you'll gain more followers. So she basically fake dates Christian for this, and Christian was also like, I need someone to be like my arm candy for events that I go to. So they kind of get into this like fake dating situation. He's helping her deal with her stalker situation since he works in security. So that is the whole subplot going on, which I feel like I'm more interested in that than the romance, even though like they still haven't even kissed. I think their lips have like brushed, but then they're like obsessed with each other. I'm going to continue reading now. The goal is to get a lot more through this book. I'm more excited for the other books in this video that I want to read, so I just want to get to those. So I'm gonna keep listening to the audiobook because that is really helping me get through this book. So I'm honestly gonna go grab my Christmas coloring book and I'm gonna color, put my audiobook on, and yeah, I honestly love doing that. It's so peaceful. So let's go do that. So currently 90% through this book. I've listened to most of the audiobook today, so it's time to finish it. I feel like I'm in the same position every time I want to update you guys or talk in this video. It is the next day, and yesterday I did finish Twisted Lies. As you could probably tell by my reaction at the end, my tripod broke, so I have to use the taller tripod. I'm like all the way down here. As you could probably tell by my reaction last night, I kind of felt whatever about the ending. Even the reveal of like who the person was that was stalking Stella, it wasn't like anything exciting, anything that anyone could have expected, but not in a good way. Like, it just didn't really make any sense. That was what was keeping me interested throughout the rest of the book. Like, the romance was good, but I really liked Stella, but Christian was just too like broody and serious for me, and like he would just say things that I was like, this is like too cringe for me. So him I didn't really like, so that made me like not love the romance. That's why I was more interested into like the stalker aspect and who was stalking Stella. And then the reveal happened and I was like, wait, like that's what this whole thing has been about. It just felt so, I don't want to say dumb. It just didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end up giving this book 3 stars. That's probably the lowest I've rated one of the Twisted books, but I feel like the more that I read the books, the lower I rate them, just because I'm slowly falling out of liking with them. It's not because I liked this one the least. I think it's honestly because so much time like went by before reading this one. And I honestly think if I read the other Twisted books again, I would probably rate them all the same thing. I would say like it's not fair to give this one 3 stars because I've rated the other ones higher. If I were to go back and re-rate the books, I'd probably also all rate them 3 stars. So that's like kind of my mindset on that right now. Those are my thoughts on Twisted Lies. Now that we finished this, I was able to check off that I finished a series. I was also able to check off that I completed a book from my 2025 list. So I was able to get 2 things done. That was very successful. The next book I already chose and I already started reading. I'm only like 4 chapters in, but it is Wild Card by Elsie Silver. This one is going for the last book in a series. I recently picked up this book at Target because I had waited a while to buy this book. I just like hadn't been buying books because I have so many on my shelf and I didn't want to buy books unless I was reading them in that moment or I knew for sure I was going to read them soon. I knew I wanted to read Wild Card very soon because it came out recently and I wanted to read it before the year ended. So I bought it and it's perfect for this video because obviously this is the last book in the Rose Hill series. It's about Gwen and Bash. Bash is like a wildlife firefighter. He's like a firefighter in the air, so like in planes and stuff. And then Gwen is a yoga instructor. And in the first few chapters, it's like a flashback to a year ago where they got stuck at the airport for like, I think 24 hours, like overnight. They strike up like a conversation. They spend the night like just talking to each other. And that's where I'm at so far. I have not gone far at all. Like I said, I'm only at chapter 4. I plan on continuing reading this today. I actually saw my best friend Marcella made a review about this book and she rated it 2 stars and said that she was so bored the whole book. So now I'm scared. I do think Marcella and I have different tastes at times. We'll see how we feel, but I'm really excited about this book. I love Elsie Silver's writing so much. I'm really excited. I think I also put this book on my December TBR. That's also checking something off. We're picking good books for this video. So let's get into some reading. Also, from what I've read so far, literally the 30 pages that I've read, she is so funny. She has made me giggle like more than 5 times probably, and she reminds me a lot of Willa from Heartless because I loved her so much. Willa was also always making me laugh. She so far is reminding me of her. We'll see if that stays the same, but I love her so far. It makes sense now why the trope is what it is. We're in the past right now, so I don't really know what the scenario is, but we basically just found out his relationship with his son. Now it kind of makes sense why them getting together wouldn't be a big deal, but we obviously still have to see how everything plays out. Starting chapter 21, happily. Oh my god, that scene was amazing. If you know what happens at the end of chapter 20, wow. Like, I literally had a, like, reaction. I was like, oh. No, I'm so excited going into chapter 21, seriously. Okay guys, so it is the next day. I did film like 1 clip yesterday while I was reading. It's because we got to like a very pivotal point in the book. I was freaking out because when I was reading yesterday, it was just getting so good. Not that the beginning hasn't been good, but the tension has been building up and the tension was broken and it was just like the best moment ever. Not that like I wasn't, or I guess, yeah, like I wasn't really expecting it because it was like kind of like a heat in the moment thing, but it was so good and it was so fitting for like their relationship. I'm trying to like really think like what to say because so much has gone on from the last time I've talked. I feel like we're seeing a lot more of Bash and how like emotional he is, and he's like so emotionally intelligent, and he's just a man. Like obviously he's about to be 40, so he's like probably the oldest person I've read about from Elsie Silver, or maybe it was Cade. Every time Elsie Silver writes like an older man, she always does it correctly. She always knows what she's doing. Bash is just one of the most kind people ever, and if you've read the book, you understand that he is kind, not nice. Right now, we're getting to a point where the son is becoming an issue, and they have to approach that with caution and see how they're even gonna approach it. So I'm pretty sure that's gonna happen in the next chapter. So things are about to blow up or go smoothly, we'll see. Yeah, I'm honestly loving it so far. I just like missed an Elsie Silver book, and it's like every time I read an Elsie Silver book, I'm like, yeah, like no wonder I love her book so much. I just like needed something like this. I feel like recently I haven't been reading good like romance books. Not that Elsie Silver has like this like poetic writing. I don't even know how to describe it. Her writing just like does something to me, and I just love reading her books so much. So I'm honestly so glad I picked this book up because I needed something like this, and it's making me sad that I'm not gonna have another Elsie Silver book to read because I don't know if she's coming out with a new release in the new year, because I know she's coming out with a new series, but I don't know when that's coming out. Let me check actually because I'm gonna freak out. May 19, 2026. We've been saved. Okay, I'm literally gonna sit here and read now. My camera's about to die. We'll see how long it lasts, but I'm starting chapter 32, page 320. Wait, the last chapter ended off like if something was about to happen, but they kind of just like brushed over it. I just like keep reading about it, and imagine being Gwen. Like imagine being like, yeah, I actually don't want you anymore. I would rather be with your dad. Not that that's happened yet. There hasn't been a confession yet, but like just imagine. Wait. Oh my god. I just read this part, no spoiler. It says, "Hi, I'm Bo, here to help you out. What do you say we get the hell off this mountain?" It's Bo, Eden. He's the last book in the Chestnut Spring series. As soon as I saw this, she also said this. It says, "There's an embroidered patch over his heart that spells out Eden. So glad we found you," he smiles, and it might be the most reassuring smile in the world. Something about him seems confident and capable, and it eases the knot in my chest. He reaches a hand towards me. "Hi, I'm Bo." I'm so happy. That made me so happy. I already know like what I want to rate it. It's not a 5 stars. No one get their hopes up. I didn't get that feeling, but it's definitely in the 4-star range, like 4 stars or above. It was so good, and it's just like Elsie Silver classic writing. I loved the romance. Oh my god, it was so good. I don't know, I'm gonna let my thoughts simmer. I'll probably come back to you guys with the next book we're gonna read, or deciding which book we're gonna read next, because I honestly don't know. Yeah, I'll see you guys then. Hey guys, so it's the next day, and I think I'm going to give Wildcard 4.5 stars. I loved this book so much. I loved the romance in it. It was amazing, and everything else that was happening in this book, it was just so good. Like it wasn't only the romance, it was everything surrounding it. Clyde, one of my favorite characters, he's like the little old man that Gwen has to take care of, and he was just such an add-on character, but like in the best way possible. Obviously Gwen, I loved her so much. She was so funny. Bash also loved. He was so mature and such a mature character, especially for her, that I feel like Gwen was mature enough for him. I never felt the age gap between them, even though it was a little bit of a weird trope and I've never read this trope before. I honestly really liked it. The way that it was done was perfect, so it didn't feel weird ever. Obviously Trip, the son, was a little bit rude, and you could tell he wasn't the best fit for Gwen, and the way that Bash always stood up for her and the way that Bash cared about her, it was just so much more important than Trip being his son, honestly. So yeah, I love the way that this book was written, and it was so good. So yeah, giving it 4.5 stars. I don't know if I'm rating it too high because of like how recent I just read it, or it is really just a 4.5 stars. So we'll see like by the end of the year what I still give it. But we have finished Wildcard, and we have finished a series. We have finished another series for this video, and I think now I've read like 54 books. I've read 8 series, so we're getting there. I really think I could finish 10 series this month if I really try to. That's really exciting. And then the next book that we're starting for this video is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I am so excited. This has been on my shelf for the longest time because this was a very popular book. I think maybe like last year or 2 years ago. I decided to buy it because my favorite YouTuber, Sarah Crowley, rated this 5 stars when she read it. So I was like, okay, must be good. I'm not that much of a fantasy reader, but this is a young adult fantasy, so I figured maybe it won't be too crazy to get into. I feel like also I've heard the romance is a very like prominent part in this trilogy. Hopefully it'll be easy for me to get into. I was also going to read Silver Elite, which I already put that back on my shelf, but I was going to read that book, but I decided not to because I just want to read this first, because I think this will be the easiest to get me into fantasy, because next year I do have a lot of fantasy that I want to get into. I kind of want to step away from the romance. I'm still going to be reading romance books, but I want to read more genres and get out of my comfort zone. So I think this book is the best to get into that. Have I seen anywhere that this is the best? No. I just feel it in my heart that this will probably be the easiest. It's only a trilogy, so it's not too much of a commitment. And I don't know, I think I'll enjoy it. I think what this book is about is there's the elites that they have powers, and then there's ordinaries that they don't have powers. And the main character, Peyton, is an ordinary, but I think she has to live among the elites. I think if you're an ordinary, you get killed, but obviously she has to try and act like she's an elite. I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. And there's like trials in this. Obviously there's a romance, so I'm really excited. We'll see. I actually have to go to work today, so I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done throughout the day. We'll see at night if I start this. I'll probably start this like during my lunch break or when I get back from work. So I'll see you guys when we start the last book for this video, a fantasy book. So I have started Powerless. I started it yesterday, which wasn't when I filmed that clip that I said I was gonna start it, and then the clip where I am reading was the next day because I didn't have time to read at night, so then I started reading it the next day. I had so much time to read this and I got like 30% through the book, which for me is a lot. I usually do not read that much in a day, and that's only because I had things to do in like the evening. If not, I would have probably gotten over halfway through this book because it was so good. It was really hard, honestly, getting into it because one, I'm not a fantasy reader. I haven't read a lot of fantasy ever. I tried to start it during my lunch break on Friday and I just like wasn't focusing hard enough. I tried listening to the audiobook, wasn't working. So I was like, no, I have to like put it down, start from the beginning the next day and really focus my attention to it. And I did, and I'm loving it. It reminds me a lot of the Hunger Games. I can't remember if that's what people were comparing this book to, but now that I kind of understand it a little bit more, basically, I don't want to like spoil a lot, but basically Peyton is an ordinary, and people that are ordinaries to the elites, they have like these diseases, like they should be killed. Peyton has to live as if she's an elite, so she tells everyone that she's a psychic, and the way she does this is she kind of like observes them, and she's able to tell a lot about them and they just believe her. And one day she saves, unknowingly, the prince in a situation that he's in. Everyone watches her save the prince and they're like, we need to send this girl to the trials. The next day when they get the list of the people that are going to be competing in the trials, she's on the list and she's like, what am I doing on here? I'm an ordinary. Like, I'm supposed to fight with these elites. So picture like if you've watched The Hunger Games or read The Hunger Games. I've never read The Hunger Games, but I've watched the movies. The Hunger Games, but people have powers. She gets picked among the people with powers when she does not. She's not one of them. So she's freaking out. She has to go live in this castle for a few weeks. And she also has to do like the interviews, so kind of like Hunger Games when they have to step in front of this crowd, impress them a little bit, get the crowd to like them so that, you know, they're a fan favorite. And she basically has to do the same thing. She has to attend a ball. That's where I'm at right now. Something crazy happened at this ball. I'm currently on chapter 23, about like 40% through the book. I don't know if I'm gonna have time today. It's currently like 8 o'clock. So I don't know if I'm gonna have time to read today, but I'm loving this book so much so far. I'm so happy that I started this because it's honestly been intimidating me for the past over a year. This has definitely been on my shelf for a very long time. I'm so happy that I finally started it and that this is my first step into fantasy because the world isn't too hard. It's also something I'm familiar with because of Hunger Games. So I'm really glad that I started with this and that I'll be able to now get into the other books and like start the novellas. I asked for the next book for Christmas, so hoping that someone gets me that book for Christmas, but I'm so happy I started this book. And yeah, so we're gonna continue reading. I'm supposed to start another book video soon, so I'm hoping to binge this book and finish it. I'm hoping to finish it tomorrow, even though I have class and work tomorrow, but I'm hoping at night I have the motivation to finish this book, which I think I will. It's really not that hard to binge this because it's just so easy to read. The chapters are not long, which I feel like usually in fantasy they're a little bit long, or at least the ones I've read, but here they're not that long. There's always something entertaining happening, so it keeps me hooked. I've also heard this is a lot of romance. It's more of like a romantasy. It's not like fantasy with like a tiny subplot. It's like the romance is a very heavy part in this. I'm enjoying the romance. I can't tell if it's developing too quickly. Like I feel like they already have crushes on each other, but they haven't really like said it blatantly like, oh, I like him. They just kind of been like, yeah, he's handsome, and she's like, he admires like her beauty, but that's kind of it. So I'm interested to see where this is gonna go, obviously, because this is not a normal like romance. It's a high stakes romance, so I'm really excited to continue reading. What? Listening to the audiobook of Powerless in my car on my way to school, and I'm on chapter what, like 24? What just happened? I'm so confused. I was just like driving and like my jaw dropped. I was like, wait, I think I know what's going on. That like really got me. If you know what happens in chapter 24, that got me. Really like basically like used her powers to trick us. But I just want to tell you guys where I ended up stopping reading before I had to work. And I got to chapter 34, Hayden's Point of View, page 297. And they finished the first trials. And it was honestly really interesting. So I'm interested to see where, hold on. Sorry guys, I have a new tripod and I'm trying to figure out how to work it. They just finished the first purging trials. Went really interesting. And basically after the trials, everyone gets to watch it. This one's like different from the rest because Kai is trying to be the enforcer, the future enforcer. So his dad, the king, made this trials harder since his son was gonna be on it. Basically like a test to see if he's good enough to be the enforcer. I feel like I would have wanted a little more tension between them. I think that right now they're like, or at least on his side, he's very like flirty and he's kind of like open about like how much she affects him, and I feel like she is more kind of closed off and fights back a little bit more. So I just wish there was a little bit more tension, but we still have half the book to go and they still haven't even kissed yet. I honestly don't expect them to kiss, like maybe not even in this book, just because like it's a fantasy series, so I don't know. But reading this, my first fantasy book in such a long time, it's getting me really excited for all the other fantasy books that I want to read, because I know there's like the Heartless Hunter, that's a duology, so that'll be really easy to read. I've heard Dance of Thieves is also a really good duology to read. Want to get into those fantasies that are a little more easy to read, and then I want to get into the longer ones like ACOTAR. Throne of Glass is one I'm really excited to read at some point. I want to do the Hunger Games next year, so I don't know, reading this is like, it's opening up a lot for me, so I'm really happy that I just picked this book. But we're gonna keep reading. It is 8 o'clock. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this today. That was my goal. I don't know, maybe tomorrow morning. So we're gonna continue reading. The next morning, currently on chapter 51. Let's just say, I think they have like balls like a lot. Like I thought there was just like the one in the beginning, but there's like another one. She obviously learned how to dance, so now she's like in this huge waltz where like the partners like change, like they have like different partners every once in a while. And with no spoilers, let me just say the tension. tension's there. I know I said it wasn't yesterday, but now it is. So, very happy. The gasp I just let out starting chapter 59. Basically, in the last trial, they have to like get through this maze and kill whoever is in the maze. And I thought it was gonna be one person, and it was someone else. I'm about to finish this book. I have like 10 minutes left probably. It's time. Kid's point of view, which is the soon-to-be king. Now I have to read the rest of the series. Like, I must. Oh wait, there's something in the back. Sneak peek for the second book. Oh, I don't want to read this though. I want to wait. Wow. Okay guys, so I've gotten ready, but I only finished the book a few minutes ago. Officially finished. Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I know I've said it so many times, but I'm so glad that I picked this book to read in this video. Obviously, one of my goals was to read a fantasy book, or to read 5 fantasy books, and now I've added another one to the list, so we have that getting closer to finishing that goal. And I honestly think I'll finish that goal because I've also been reading Harry Potter, and that takes majority of the check marks under that goal. So I think I'll honestly be able to finish that because I still have like 4 books to read, or 3 in the Harry Potter series. Yeah, but this book, it was so good, especially in the beginning. It had my attention. Like when I started it, I got like over 30% through the book in one day, and for me that's not really normal. It reminded me a lot of the Hunger Games, and I think that's why I really enjoyed it. I didn't know that's what people were comparing it to until I went on TikTok and I saw people saying like, oh, if you like, or no, I went to like the ratings on Goodreads and people were saying like, if you like Hunger Games you're gonna like this, and I was like, okay, this makes sense. Because yeah, it did remind me a lot of the Hunger Games, probably too closely, but I still really enjoyed it. I feel like towards the middle I was kind of questioning like, where is this going? What is this? What's the plot gonna be? Like, what's gonna be the plot? Because there's gonna be a plot twist at the end, and that's why there's 2 other books in the series and like another novella. It felt like it got a little bit slower in the middle. Even though there was stuff going on, I just felt like, okay, like where is this gonna end up? And then of course towards the end it obviously ramped up. A lot of stuff was happening at the end. Plot twists were getting revealed. Yeah, there was a moment where they said something had to happen, and I thought one thing, and I was completely wrong. I don't know if this makes any sense what I'm saying, but I don't want to give any spoilers, obviously. But I think I'm going to rate this book 4 stars. I know a lot of people love this book, and I do still think it was a great book. I just don't think it was like 5-star material. Like, I need to jump right into the next book, because I didn't feel that way. But I'm definitely going to read the next book soon, because I don't want to do what I do with all my other series, that I take so much time in between to read the next book. So I'm definitely going to continue it soon, but I don't feel the need to be like, I need to pick up that book right now. But it was still a really good book, rating it 4 stars. That is going to be the end of today's video. I had so much fun doing this. This is honestly a really good idea to do at the end of the year every single year. This is my first time that I do it, I'm pretty sure. And I really enjoyed doing it because now I get to look at my goals and be like, okay, I got 1 step closer to completing them. So I'm really happy I did this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching. Make sure to give it a like, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so you know when I post my next video, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!